are coming and heeding the call. Let's rally the people and bring them all near. Sing out our songs for the whole world to hear. This is the cradle of all that we are. This is the heart of the storm. This is the ground where the future was born. This here is Anvil and this is our home. Each song that we sing and each story we tell, each hero we name and each life that we sell, each breath and each beat of your heart is a beat of the drum. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Before 10 in the morning, we're barely alive. We're like ghosts, we're like spirits, and then coffee arrives. Then heroes awaken and stand by your side. Now gather your courage and sing out your pride. For the storm will not break us, although it may try. The sun may beat down and may bake the world dry, but we stand by our neighbours and raise them up tall. Gather your voices and scream out the call. For you are my empire and you are my hall. For you I would fight and for you I would fall. For you are the beat of my heart and the heart of my song. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. So fill up your tankards and fill up your lungs. Leave no words unspoken and no song unsung. Make noise for your heroes, your kith and your kin. Sing out their names and the pride that they bring. Together we stand and divided we fall. And the future we write will be shaped by us all. Oh, we are the singers and we are the song of a story that's greater than more. Sing along. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see.
Hi everybody, welcome to another stream. We're going to be chatting about some important topics tonight. The layout has changed a little bit. There will not be any chat on my screen at all for YouTube to see or anything like that, because a bit of protection, I guess, is the best way to put that, just in case there's any dickheads out there who decide that they want to voice an opinion that's not needed. So I'll move that over because that's not central and that's bugging me. So yeah, Banhammer ready. Excellent, nice one, Dan. So basically this is something that's been on my mind for about 8 months, 7 months maybe, this stream, and I've wanted to do it for a very, very long time. For one reason or another, people involved, I don't know if it's spoons or anything like that, haven't got involved and stuff, but it's I believe now I think this sort of discussion is needed. I am not going to do a lot of talking this evening, you'll be grateful to know, because my voice is not the voice that needs to be heard. So we have the wonderful Dawn and wonderful Georgia with us this evening, who are going to do, you'll be grateful to know, a lot of the talking for me. I have topics, I have questions, I've done some research, and I've done a lot of reading, and we're going to go through some things, and we're going to do a fun thing, and we're going to make it interesting, and I'm going to learn stuff, because guys we need to learn.
It's fun.
Okay, so let's go to my notepad because I've got a few notes here and stuff like that. So I'll start off with one thing that pissed me off massively. And it's because that's a really good place to start in anger almost immediately. I will add as well.
Start strong.
Yeah, to the guys who have messaged me, not tweeted at me. They sent me messages on all social media. Thanks for subscribing, Pete. Who have been giving me hate and vitriol. I'm going to be an Empire when we're doing the next event. Come and say those things to my face. All right. Because you won't.
Spice.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Spice is the life.
Yeah, dickheads. Yeah, I'm not happy. I was so angry. I was so angry earlier. I was shaking. I wanted to. Yeah, but still, that's another thing. That's another thing. So I've lost the questions now. So basically, the comment on this blog that I was reading, that was written by Charlie, the Empire photographer. Absolutely fascinating to read. I beg your pardon. People have been sending you hate. Yes. I've passed. They've all been reported, so let's not worry about that. Basically, the top comment on it was that women were not strong enough in LARP, and I read it. I'm glad it got that response, and I read it, and it immediately came to mind was when you think of a lot of women at Empire. I'll use Empire as the focus here because this is what we all have in common. I just thought, oh fucking hell, go and say that to them, please. That was basically it. But I wanted.
Oh yeah.
So we'll start with you, Dom. What's your? Because you're the calmest one out of everybody.
Is that shade? I mean, my first thought immediately hearing it was, well, I hope the person who wrote that comment isn't one of the people who I've helped dig their car out of the mud. That was my initial thought. Did I help lift your car physically with my own two hands out of the mud? But that, on my part, is possibly a place where my mind shouldn't go. Strength. What do you mean by strong? I am assuming, because I've not read this comment, I've not read this blog, so I'm going to have to do some extrapolation here. But I can feel myself gently bubbling toward incandescence of rage. Because I think, well, what do you mean by strong? Do you mean mental strength? Do you mean fortitude? In terms of just sticking with something? Do you mean physical strength? Do you mean endurance? Because there's so many people, there's so many women, there's so many non-binary people that have that in spades in LARP. And I feel like it's, at best, this was said in ignorance. In worse, this is just some self-indulgent nonsense. Why would you say that? Why would you put down an entire group of people either? What's wrong in your life that you've got to go in someone's blog and write that kind of message? Because that's what I see. I just see sort of this angry creature, this angry goblin tappling away. Now I'm just losing words. But there's lots of different types of strength. And the fact that I continue to do my hobbies, I continue to interact with people, that is definitely a kind of strength, and it's a kind of strength I think the commenter didn't have.
There's a couple of comments here that I'll read out, and then Georgia will come to you, because these are, I think this shows a lot of people's thoughts about the sort of guy that would come out and say this. So anyone who claims any group is not strong enough is clearly very weak in their own self-opinion and self-worth. It's all projection at the end of the day. And then, so this is where I was earlier. So I'm with Smo on this one. She's like, yeah, who hurt you? Basically, and I was just like, it's like, yeah,
who hurt you?
So it's all keyboard gremlins. So, sorry, and thanks for subbing as well, Wolf. Really appreciate it, mate. So it's So Georgia.
Yeah. No, Dawn hit it right on the nail there. Like, what do you equate as strength? Because if you're saying physical strength, like there are women and fen folk out in the field who could like bench lift me. I'm not little. But then that's only just like a tiny part of what strong is. Strong can be emotional strength, mental strength. It could be, as Dawn said, fortitude. There are so many different ways that strength can manifest in a person, and that, that's regardless of your gender identity. It's not just, how do I put it? It's men, women, and anyone who is in between and outside of that binary. They all show different types of strength. So by saying that an entire group aren't good enough because they're not strong, that's so narrow-minded. And I completely agree. It clearly points out that there is some form of not a hatred of the self, but a lot of self-criticism there. Maybe like, who hurt you? When did you get hurt? Who made you feel small? Who made you feel so small that you've now got to project that onto an entire group of people?
Yeah. When did it reach the point in your life where you got joy out of being snotty over the internet? What went wrong?
And I think I was talking about it with Steve earlier about like the idea of like the screen is the shield, and people feel like because the screen is there that they can just go for it, and they don't quite realize that consequences can come back to bite you, even if the screen is there to protect you.
Yeah, I think that anyone who does anything like that is reaching out in that sort of way, in anger and hate, doesn't have a great deal going on in their life. I am really lucky because I've grown up with some incredibly strong women, and that is strong in a very, very broad sense. I'm very, very vocal in the fact that I would not have been able to do this channel or do any of this if I did not have my Helen with me. I have to say my Helen because there's like 16 Helens, it appears, around my friends, the channels. Everyone has a Helen. So if Helen wasn't around, I wouldn't have been able to do anything like that. She has been an absolute rock for me. And then, I mean, in like the physical strength of things, my older sister got expelled for being strong in a negative way. She was a bully, but she used to fight guys. And she used to beat guys up. She was that strong. Okay, she used to take that out on them. So that's not a great example, I know. But she was. So there are women out there like who can do that. But then the strongest of all is my nan. Was my nan, and she held together like 3 families who were like at war, essentially. They were feuding and stuff like that. And she was the one who held everything together. And there's no one in my eyes stronger. So people who say this sort of stuff, they can just get in the bin. So
straight in.
That's
Airlock.
Pretty much.
Just pull it up in the bin.
Oh, actually, speaking of excellent women, because I was quite shocked because it was my cousin teaching my mum a sort of swearing term. So for me, at the time when I heard that, this is a few years back, I was a little bit, my cousin said that to mum, but then mum loved it, which was mum was having a crap day, was complaining about something to do work. My cousin, who is a nurse, fantastic, really clever lady, said, you know what? Put them in the fuck it bucket. All life's problems. Fuck it bucket. Some people just got to go in the fuck it bucket.
Definitely. So it said that they have too much going on and don't understand how to deal with emotions in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's lots of people joining and saying hi and stuff, so that's good.
Hello.
I don't have my tablet to hand, so
No, it's fine.
Mm.
It's fine. Don't worry. I think we're going to be getting a less chat interaction this evening.
That's cool.
Because I've got all my areas that I want to cover. And one of them, it's I've written a note for myself, and I'm trying to remember
Okay.
what the hell I meant by it. So apologies.
I love that.
It's
Talk to us past Steve.
yeah. So
What's on your mind?
I don't know. So one of the notes that I've got written here was blame culture, and that seemed to be coming from where I was reading it. It seemed to be coming from a place where everybody was, if something was going on, they were just blaming the fact that they want that the women were involved in certain areas, and that's why things were failing on a completely IC sort of area. But because it's all happening IC. Sorry, Stringers just said my fucks have runneth dry, and that's got me that one. So, and it seemed to be people using out of character prejudices in character, and because of this, that's why. So, sort of like a blame culture of, so blaming women for, like, my group hasn't done this, so it's her fault. The military hasn't done this, so it's her fault, and things like that. Is this something that you've ever come across in any way, shape, or form? Either of you?
I've got my thoughts in it, but fair is fair. Georgia should take. If George is prepped to, if you want to take this one first, because I know you currently have a hat.
I can't. Yeah. The problem being, though, at the moment, I do have a hat because I'm one of the Marcher adjutants. The problem at the moment is obviously there's, out of all, I think it's 8 Imperial positions, only 2, no, none are filled by women or non-binary, like non-male folk. Whilst that is not a dig at the Marchers. I love the Marchers. They're fantastic and they are doing a very good job at being very inclusive. It is something I would like to see more of. But in terms of actual blame culture, I've not personally experienced that in terms of the hat wearing and the responsibility factor. I'm aware that it probably, though, blame culture can be sort of in smaller circumstances as well, like in character, like role within groups, as well as sort of the macro in the hat wearing sense as well. But personally, I've not dealt with that, thankfully, which is very good. But there has been occasions, when that blame has been thrown around. But actually, surprisingly, it's been from, in my experience at least, from other women that's happened. That blame culture. But I think that's a whole thing to unpack in itself. The whole, like, the competitiveness again of women. I think that's a completely different thing to unpackage. But yeah, so that's me on in that regard. But if Dawn has anything else.
I think I have a small lecture planned on this topic alone.
I'm ready.
So I'm going to start off with, on a base level, we live in a world, in a society that has built into it sexism, racism, anything that I can't even remember all the other isms. My brain's going blank. So the little gerbil in my head is sort of like scrabbling to keep up. But we live in a world that has all this baked-in structural systemic isms where certain groups are oppressed and kept in certain boxes, and it comes into attitudes as well. So the thing that I personally find, and this is me now starting to paraphrase and not explain as well, so I'm trying to slow down. We live in this world where there's baked in transphobia, homophobia, sexism, racism, and there's classism. There's lots of things happening there. And even if you were raised nicely, because there's an awful lot of people when you say to them, that wasn't so good, whatever it was, that wasn't such a nice thing to say. That wasn't so good. They take it as but me.
Yeah.
And
Me?
that's but me. And it's very difficult, I find, to have the starting conversation of, hey, this is something that needs unpacking and dealing with. So another thing we need to talk about is we're talking about women in LARP, but there are lots of gender identities out in that field that need support. And it's easy for me to talk a particular way, being a cis woman, because there's going to be things that I don't experience. There's going to be microaggressions, and there's just going to be outright things that don't happen to me and that I won't have experience to be able to speak on. So I acknowledge that now. There's going to be things that help me, but there's also going to be things that I do experience maybe on a macro or smaller level.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, one of the things we face is when it's difficult to talk about the other forms of sexism in particular, since that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the other forms of isms. A lot of the time people think the worst kind of ism is physical violence, and that's it. And that's not to say physical violence isn't bad. It definitely is, but it's not the only kind of violence you can perpetrate, because systemic violence is certainly out there in the field. And verbal and cliquiness can happen, things like that. And it's so hard to explain to people that I understand that wasn't your intention, but just because it wasn't your intention doesn't mean what you did wasn't helpful. So to go back to the strength thing, I know that, for example, stuff in the field, maybe not blame culture per se, so I might be misunderstanding your point, Steve, but I know there are women who've achieved hats relatively early on in the game, and then were told, or like they overheard talk, well, that person must be an NPC because it's a lady general, it's a lady politician, so she must be an NPC. And it's sort of, no, she's just badass and competent, and you need to deal with that. And I think part of the problem is people are not necessarily challenging, okay, well, when I think of strong, when I think of smart, what is it I'm seeing? What stories have I taken into myself to lift up myself? Have I taken in stories that are about other people that are nothing to do with someone who looks, thinks, acts like me? Have I taken those into account? And it's trying to get to people that it's not always about you and how you experience things, but often the thing I find really struggling with explaining to people is the point where someone's like, but my intentions, but how could you think that of me? It's like, I don't think you're an instant irredeemable Disney villain. I think you said something a bit daft, or you said something ignorant, but you're putting it back on me to do the emotional labor of explaining why. And no offense, but Google is free. Google is free, and there's people out there writing and working hard every day. Like, off the top of my head, I will say, Julia, if you're looking for a primer into misogyny and transmisogyny, Julia Serrano's put it into a pamphlet form, if you're really that struck for time. And so is Bell Hooks. She's put out pamphlets. I can't say that absolutely everything they've written about that I've read it all, but for me, one of the things is getting off that base point. And it's easy to talk about blame culture amongst women as a thing. I'm sure there are times when women get competitive, but I also feel like when you're having to exist in a culture, in a system where it's a particular group who are always favored or just have that structural advantage, then that happens. And sometimes you will get cases where there's the one good one who gets put up on a pedestal. And I don't think it's anything against that person who gets put up on the pedestal, but it's also, you know, can you kick it back to someone else? Can you lift someone up with you up the ladder? Can we help one another? can we be disruptive and difficult enough to make it so that the system isn't the evil system, the system that hurts, isn't sustainable?
Yeah.
But that is, again,
Yeah.
I am one person with one set of experiences,
Yeah.
and I'm one woman with a cat
Absolutely.
currently.
A cat who's very, very much wanting to be involved.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yes, this is
I
Queenie.
agree. That was something. Oh, that was something that I was thinking of though. Like both me and Dawn. Oh, baby.
Mhm.
Yeah, both me and Dawn have a particular experience as cis women.
Mhm.
You know, we are not people of color, so we don't have that experience. We can't speak on that. All we can do is try our best to support and uplift where we can. But yeah, like you said, Dawn, that we have certain privileges being cis white women.
Yes.
But of course, we still have certain obstacles. It just won't be the same obstacles as our siblings who we don't have the same experience as.
Like, I'll experience some things, to be quite blunt, as a chonker. As a woman with, as a fat
absolutely.
woman,
I mean,
I'll experience
that is
certain things. Or
and
with
people
mental
discriminate
health.
based on size. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Helen's commented on the
Cat.
physically weaker comment from earlier. She says, I may have missed this bit, but I thought I heard something about women being physically weaker. I always love this argument because it's not like we're competing in Olympic sports against everyone in LARP. Like, mate, unless you've been training for months for this exact moment, I think I'll be all right.
But wasn't there was?
Yeah.
I feel really bad. I'm gonna have to Google it. There was the Japanese swimmer who smashed all of the records, including men's records. The girl. And that was a year that,
I
poor
forget her
Michael
name.
Phelps, he got drunk in a gas station in Brazil. Oh, that poor boy. And it's like, I don't care about him. I want to hear about this badass
Look at
who
this.
smashed all the records ever.
Yeah.
Who is she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see women in the marches and femfolk in the marches who are running around on the battlefield in full plate armor, gambesons, and everything else for like 2 hours and won't break a damn sweat.
No.
And then, you know, compared to some people I see who are wearing like shirts and are exhausted after running for like however long, you know, the physical strength like that in itself is a moot point because there are women and femfolk out there who are incredibly physically strong as well.
Yeah. Right, we have there is a question here. So that's just like be a few, but they're all linked. So the Empire is gender neutral, is it not? Any blaming of people based on gender is not IC nor is it RP. And all instances should be reported to PD. No?
This is true.
That is correct. Does PD act on it though? I ask as someone that's never been to the field.
I've not had cause to go through that system. So I know that there's systems in place. I think because it's gender neutral, sometimes it's difficult to explain to people their internalized stuff. That's sometimes a little tricky stepping point, but that's
yeah. And sometimes people are genuinely doing things and they don't know they're doing it. Like sometimes it might be things like terminology, like saying, all right, men, let's go. And sometimes it's literally just like, that's just what they've said.
It's a brain fart.
And yeah, it's a brain fart. And it can sometimes get hard because it's icy and because it's a gender neutral setting, being like, hey, that wasn't actually, that's not fitting in with the setting. You know, we're not men here. There are many types of people here. So could you use a different term? So sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, I see, to like nip that in the bud, but also I've got no problem dropping OC for like 5 seconds to be like, that wasn't okay. Would you mind doing something different?
I was party to a moment where someone did keep using masculine terms and talking about soldiers and the armies of the empire as being men. And I realized it wasn't intentional on his part, but it was beside me. There were two very formidable magic users who looked like they were ready to leap over table, which
Yeah.
sounds very scary. But I was just leant across the table and said, I think you'll find all knights are all genders. We moved on. But he sort of
Yeah.
sort of saw him sort of
Yeah.
sink into his seat a bit. But afterwards, I think this is the thing I did find interesting, was another guy came up to me and said, "Oh, you're a bit harsh on him, weren't you?" And I said, "No, I corrected him. I corrected him politely. And would you much rather have
Yeah.
had the very angry winter mages take him to account?" No, I very politely, very correctly. I was fair.
Yeah. A correction. Sometimes a correction is
take
seen as
correction-
aggressive. Yeah.
It's like, no, I just don't have time for your nonsense.
Yeah.
So if you make a mistake, take the correction in the grace with which it's presented to you. Because the other thing,
Absolutely.
which is kind of me looping back to what Steve was asking earlier, was when these mistakes happen, please remember that for femme people of all descriptions, for non-binary people, this is something that we have to put up with a lot.
Yeah.
And just because it's the first time you've done it, it does not mean it's the first time that's happened to us that day, that hour,
Yeah.
the past 5 minutes. And you have to maybe have a little bit of grace about the kind of world we're operating in.
Yeah, I think as a masculine as a guy, it's down to the fact that we don't have this. Men are in a very privileged position where we don't have to have that. So having someone say to you, "Can you say this?" That is no big deal. That's nothing. Because having one person listen could mean that one day that whoever she is doesn't have to worry about that one person anymore. Now only has to worry about the 7 others now. Because that is the sort of society that we're in. Smo has complimented you both here. I would just like to say that the very polite way that Dawn and Georgia are passing the topics between each other is a delight.
Thank you.
So, to the previous comment, in the simplest way, yes, it should be reported, but you have to consider how often someone actually identifies the problem for what it is. For a lot of people, myself included, it takes a lot of perspective to realise exactly the intent of other people's actions.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it is complete accident or just something that's been drilled into someone, and just like Dawn said, a small, firm but polite correction. That's all that should be needed.
Yeah.
It's when you understand that, perhaps this is not just a mistake. This is maybe something a bit more serious. That's when obviously you'd go to PD and you'd follow the channels through them. And as far as I'm aware, from what I've heard, they are extremely helpful.
Yeah. What is your opinion on the way that things have been handled in the field? Because if a complaint like that was made, then I think if someone was given the chance to learn from their mistakes, then great. But I think if someone was being complained about constantly for saying these things, or any form of misogyny or anything like that, personally, I would rather that they weren't around, because Empire attracts a lot of younger people to the field as well. Because even 16, 17-year-olds, you've got the academy as well, down to 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
And if they are hearing this sort of behaviour, then that's just what they're going to think, oh, I can say those sorts of things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So do you think that PD or any LARP organiser should be a lot more hard line with these things?
That's a very case by case thing.
Yeah.
I need a minute. I need a minute to organise my thoughts in that regard. So Dawn, you can go ahead. I need to organise.
I mean, I think for me, because I think both George is. Do you mind me mentioning your profession?
Okay, go for it.
No, George is currently a teacher, and I have been a teacher in the past, but I'm in a specifically different context. So I've done like adult ed and summer school for university students. And one of the things with adult education, since most of the time, if we're going to use Empire as an example, Empire has the citizenship test. So even if you are a younger player, if you've passed the citizenship test, the expectation is you understand the game, what's expected of you, and what to expect of the world. But within whipping back breakneck to adult ed, was one of the things we had was these are the strands of equality and diversity and the protected characteristics, and we have to have consideration. So if I'm a teacher, and now I have to talk about it in my first lesson and explain to everyone, and said basically these are the characteristics. I can talk about them in more detail if you want, if you have something you need clarifying, but the idea is that we shouldn't treat each other unkindly at any point because of these. We shouldn't discriminate against one another because of these. We should be creating a positive and kind environment. And when you agree to come into my class, when you agree and you sign up, you agree to this, and this is policy, this is law. Possibly taking it as a more structured scaffold, that might be a thing for people to consider. But I also appreciate I haven't organized a LARP before, and I have an attitude from a very specific context. So how that would apply to the running of events and how that would be implemented, I am less confident speaking about. But I do think coming back to just creating a very simple scaffold of these are protected characteristics. I appreciate there's certain parts of the game that allow for in-game discrimination and in-game experiences. But possibly talking in more detail about it. And I have to be honest, if I find that someone is I find them a bit sexist, but if I find them that way, and it's a constant undercurrent of things, and it's things that's difficult to say to them when you do realize you're being this, and they're just looking for a comfortable sort of nest to make for themselves. Those are people I would. It's people I would avoid. I've now realised I've kind of wobbled totally off what you're asking, but I think strong scaffold is the only thing I would suggest, and maybe look at if people are asking me for advice, eliciting me for advice, look at how other industries have handled it, and I would say adult ed as a useful one. But you have to have people beside it as well pushing it forward firmly, and I don't want to comment on, oh, this person does this, that way, and the next thing. It's just what my suggestion would be.
Yeah, don't worry about going back and forth, because I think everything's linked, really, isn't it? It's all it's all linked together.
It
so
all interconnects.
Yeah. Georgia.
Yeah. As Dawn said, I am a secondary school teacher. I teach in a mixed school, and I have a very similar policy of, when you're in my lessons, because I teach drama, and drama is such a incredible platform for exploring these issues in a really safe environment. I suppose in a similar way to LARP, I guess, role play and trialing things through the idea of like play is a nice safe way to explore these issues and gain understanding. But I am very firm in that, when you're in our lessons and when we are looking at these particular topics, you are expected to hold yourself to a high standard, regardless of who you are, regardless of your identity, regardless of your upbringing. You are expected to hold yourself to a high standard. And I feel like holding people to a high standard is something that should be expected anyway. We shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have to congratulate, doing tiny things. It's like, cool, yeah, you should be doing that. Congrats, you didn't, you didn't call someone a horrible sexist term today. That's a given, that's an absolute given. So I feel like I believe people can change and can be taught and can learn and adapt. How if
Mm.
they had made a mistake initially or had a certain way of thinking initially.
Mhm.
So I don't think there should be like a, you know, first time offense ban, because all that's going to do is foster a culture of, oh, I had opinions and I got banned, so now I'm angry about it. And it's just going to bubble that up. Whereas taking opportunities to educate and to demand high standards of other people and uphold those is definitely something that LARPs and companies in general should be encouraging.
Mm.
If that continues and they are choosing, you know, at that point, if you are choosing not to listen and choosing not to expand your viewpoints more, then that's when it becomes more of an issue. Right, it's already an issue initially, but that's when it becomes more like, well, are you going to learn? Are you actually going to be a good influence on this game and on the players around you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I'd never kick a child out my lesson if they've done one thing. So they're given a chance, they're corrected, and then we move on. If that child then chooses to do that again or do something else, that's when it becomes, okay, you've chosen not to listen, you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Smo's coming up with some really good points in chat. She says, although just because we can access these spaces doesn't mean we are treated the same. For instance, Sandy Toxvig, I can't talk tonight. Sorry.
Toxvig.
That Sandy
Toxvig?
yes, earns 40% of what Stephen Fry did for hosting QI.
Yeah.
And then she's also said, it's amazing how many times femme presenting people's names are left out of their achievements as well. It's
yeah.
I think that this is touching onto something that I think is something else that needs to be brought up, because it's something I see. I think you see it a lot, especially on social media, and it's white knighting.
Okay.
And it's
yes,
it annoys me because a lot of the times you see it, and you just, for me, it's just, my opinion doesn't matter on it. Let's fight.
Can I understand what the term means? Because I've heard it, but I've heard it used in a few different ways. Can someone explain it to me?
The best way to describe it is, say, femme presenting A is being attacked on social media by person B, C, and D over here. White Knight A comes in to defend femme presenting A, mainly because there may be an attraction, or they might be thinking that they can get something out of it. That is my experience of white knighting.
Gotcha. Yeah.
If I've put that on, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of chat now. So apologies if I miss questions and things like that. I do apologise. But I think I need to. It's more important I keep up to date with references and stuff like that than trying to read everything. So if I've put that wrong, then let me know. Or if there's another way of thinking about it, then please correct me. So Georgia, you look like you had something to say on this.
I've experienced white knighting many times. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's because I'm young or there's something about me that makes it look like I can't handle a situation by myself. But I have experienced white knighting, and I want to believe that the intention is good. I have on several occasions realized that the intention was not good. That the intention was, I've helped you and I've been kind to you. You know, I've put the kindness in the girl machine. Now I want the love. You know, where's the love? Give me it. And yeah, there's definitely, it can happen. And I think at LARP, I've seen it happen a few times. I don't think I've personally experienced it unless it was like a legit roleplay thing of my character is being shouted at and one of my friends is like stepping in and being like, "Don't you dare do that." Um, yeah, I think it's one of those things that sort of goes almost undetected under the radar because it wears a mask of good intentions and you can't be like, "Oh, this guy, yeah, he was nice to me." But then you sort of have to unpick it and unlayer it, and then when you find those sort of like not so delicate intentions underneath, this expectation of intimacy and this expectation of love or affection, that's when it becomes a much darker issue.
Yeah.
So
I think
just so the lads watching know, we don't owe you anything. Like, be nice to us because we're your mates and we'd have your back. Nothing magical's gonna happen if you step in the middle of an argument. Trust me.
No.
Nothing. No.
Well, I will say, guys, if you step in the middle of an argument like that, chances are you're just going to get shouted at. Women really don't need the help. They don't need the help.
I mean,
trust me.
If you are legitimately going to jump in and like, defend and join in with the argument, if it's something particularly rubbish, by all means, by no means am I saying don't defend me in an argument. No, by all means, but there shouldn't be an expectation of there being you're protecting or then you deserve something in exchange for it. We all do nice things every day. We don't expect to have a pat on the back and a reward for it.
Sorry, what I was trying to say earlier was, if you're gonna have our back in an argument, if you're with me and you know us and you said like, oh gosh, then do it because I'm Dawn. I'm your mate, Dawn. Your mate who bakes cake and talks crap with you and sends you stupid cat videos, and not because you think I'm a magical woo-woo princess. I'm really not
a magical woo-woo princess.
I don't know. I mean, I've got the cat ears on, so I realise I might have to go a bit harder than I usually do on this line.
That's fantastic.
This has happened to Georgia. This is something that hasn't happened to me. I rather suspect because I have that it's not happened to me personally, but possibly because if there is that intention there, I'm sort of like, huh, it goes over my head and I just ignore them. It's its own thing. But
there's been a few explanations coming out of chat. Ooh. So Helen has said, I would say it's almost like an expansion of mansplaining. Abby says also simp is another way of saying it, I believe.
Okay, because I think simp usually comes with the implication, if someone were to, in good faith, say step up and have my back in an argument, that's the exact sort of thing a misogynist would say instead of white knighting.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
That to me is a massive red flag.
Yeah,
that's a red flag of because my friend is my masculine friend is listening to the feminine person, and it must be locked in some sort of bizarre relationships. Like, no, we just think I'm sensible.
Yeah, that's
it downgrades it. It's been like, oh, you're defending your friend. Oh, you must be a simp. And it completely devalues what this person has been doing. Completely devalues it.
Yeah. So if some people haven't heard of it before, so Smo said, not a term I've heard of before, but I have seen the behaviour. So a man comes and saves you from harassers, whether you're handling it or not, because he is ever so gallant. Abby's also said that women are taking the word simp back and using it as a positive. It's becoming a positive.
This is the first I'm hearing of it, but
I was about to say I'd be curious
I don't know anything. I say don't know anything. I've not experienced it personally.
No, I don't do it. It's very cringy. So I said, yes, the common wait. So you aren't going to give me affection for doing the bare minimum of being nice to you. Well, now you are. Insert various based insults here. Yes,
Yeah.
that's
It's the, I'm
That's
I'm
it.
trying to put money in the love machine and I'm not getting anything out. It must be broken. This damn machine's
Yes.
broken.
Yes. White knighting can also come across as this lady can't defend herself, therefore I will fight for her. That's a really good line. Um, I've met several people who, when they get to their weight, I'm just going to finish reading that before I read that out. Okay. I've met several people who, when they get to their weight, so you won't fuck me, they just pretend like I don't exist and it hurts to be objectified that much and not valued to just be friends.
They're
So,
not your friend. They're an
That's-
arsehole.
That's
Out
what
the airlock.
stings.
Out
Airlock.
the fucking
But
airlock.
that's the thing that stings a lot.
Mm.
Like, I've had people in the past who I've been like, this is my friend. I'm talking to this person. They're fantastic. And then it's like, oh, you wanted the other thing. Then when you're like, no, I'm not really into the other thing. I don't see you that way. I think you're pretty cool. I don't want to have sex with you. And then it's suddenly like, and that's it.
yeah.
And that's I completely agree. It's utterly heartbreaking when you've got someone who you thought was your friend, and it's like, right, you had an ulterior motive. And you're like, me.
That's I suppose this all then leads into from the guys part of it where they're going, I got friend zoned, and that's the thing I hate that the friend zone. It's like, no, it's not a thing that exists. It's, you're a friend. Just be the friend, please. That's it. It's.
I remember back into the recesses of my mind of university, being in the awkward position of a chap on my course complaining that I don't think we had obviously the concept of that happening, and that I say the concept. I don't mean the concept. I mean the delusion that that's the thing that happens. It's been around for a hot minute, but we didn't call it that at my uni back then, just for context sake. And I remember him sort of saying, "Oh, she's led me on." It was an awful lot of this, and I just kind of felt you were very drunk when you professed your feelings, but okay. And I sort of let him have his little bit, and I said, "No offense, but the person you're talking about, who you feel has led you on, she treats me the literal exact same way she does you." And I didn't think she was madly in love with me. I thought she was my mate, still is my mate. I don't really think she was leading you on or anything. He's like, "Oh, I suppose you're right," because he was still upset. But it's like, the friend zone doesn't exist, children. Let me tell you this right now. It doesn't exist. It's a delusion. It's a lie that's been sold to you. You aren't owed things just for doing the bare minimum of kindness, of consideration. Love is a many faceted and complicated thing. And it's not just because you went, "Hey baby, you look hot today," that all of a sudden someone's panties are going to evaporate and things are going to happen for you. Real love is work.
Yeah.
Like, being someone's girlfriend, boyfriend, love friend, whatever you want to call it, is actually work. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like, do you laugh at the same jokes? There's a lot of things to it, and just thinking, "Oh right, oh, she smiles at me, I'm in." It's like, no. Get to know them, treat them like a person. And if they don't feel the same way, then that's just how life is. It's tough titties.
Yeah.
Still treat them
Have
like
a
a
cry.
person.
Yeah.
Have a cry. Continue treating them as a person, and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kappa.
Have a cup of tea.
Have a nice cup of
Tea
cha.
and cry.
Yeah.
Have a cry. Watch a Disney film. Eat some ice cream.
Yeah.
Stuff will get
We've all
better.
been there.
Kappa.
We've all been there. We've all had someone who didn't like us back, and we've all been through it.
Yeah. Kappa has put this in a brilliant way in chat.
Ooh.
Being a friend is not a consolation prize.
Exactly. Fucking thank you, Kappa.
It is the prize.
Put that on a t-shirt. That's amazing.
Put it on a t-shirt. No, seriously, like,
That's
Actually,
brilliant.
I legit want that on a t-shirt.
That's amazing. Ah.
I'd love that on a shirt. Oh, that's actually summarised it perfectly.
That's amazing.
Friendship is the prize.
Yeah.
So there is. Sorry.
Sorry, no, just very. I've been very lucky to make friends older in life, because the amount of people, this is another lie I'm going to break down. It has nothing to do with women in LARP, but you need to hear it. School is not the best days of your life. The people who told you that are lying to you. Lying. The best days of your life are something that you will make. And sometimes you're going to have bad days for a lot of different reasons because of health or your situation or whatever. But if you didn't have a good time at school, you didn't fail inherently at life.
Mm.
That is another lie that people tell. It's not true. The good days are the good days. They're just going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's a great bit of a great bit of advice.
Yeah.
So there's been another question here. This is something that I've been looking at, and I was like, this is a very, very serious question.
Okay.
So, are cases of sexual harassment at LARP events common, or are people generally respectful? And what's in place to help if it happens? Camping with a bunch of men seems scary to me. Then I'll read, because there's been a couple of follow ups. So if I get the whole thread out, and then we'll get into it. So Helen's responded with...
That's a big question. But...
Helen has said, I don't believe that they are higher than in the real world, but there have been changes made at Empire, such as increased lighting, etc., to help prevent that kind of thing. And as far as I'm aware, most LARPs will have support to report any incidents. If you are ever uncomfortable... if you are ever uncomfortable, there are hundreds of people in that field that would absolutely come to your aid, and you can always create a support network. I'm not reading that one out, Helen. I will read it out. You mean I'm not just a walking vagina?
Oh, Helen, the things you say.
That's my fiance. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I love her. She's got a filthy mouth on her.
She really does, actually. Yeah. She really, really does. You should see her when she's had a bottle of white wine. The filth.
That should be the next stream then. The next stream is just everyone has a bottle of white wine.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I imagine it's about similar to me 2 gins in. Yeah. Tom's mix them especially, because Tom puts much more G in than T.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
So within about 5 minutes, as well. I'm pretty sure there was a case. I was sat in one of the chats one night. I was, hey you, everyone. Yeah.
Oh.
Like anti-meme.
So, Nicettes asked quickly, are there any femme lady only areas at Empire? I think in some nations there have been some groups have their tents. There have been specific for that.
I don't know if there's anything like official.
No.
Yeah.
But I think nation to nation, I know. I think it was in the league one time where they were having sort of like an IC lady and femme folk sort of gathering, so we could all like sit down. We were in a tent as well, so we dropped OC for a little bit, just have a bit of a chill and like a what do you call it, like a de-stress. But yeah, I don't think there's anything like official.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if a fair few nations have spaces like that.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything officially on pen and paper. If you're looking for a safe spot, I think if you reach out to people, sort of, and you're getting to know people, you'll find out who is on your own level as well. Someone who you're happy to sort of hail and sort of I try to say chill and hang out at the same time. To chill out with, to hang out with, to sort of feel that okay, I can be me for a bit and not worry about all that stuff. I don't know of anything official, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's go back to the crux of the original question then.
Yeah.
I will say that if anything that tonight has made anybody uncomfortable, brings questions or anything like that, I am going to post links to everything in the YouTube channel. So there'll be links down there. So Dawn's 2 references from earlier as well. I'll put links to all of this sort of stuff in there. In the Discord, if you need to talk to someone, anybody, so we've got mods there. But I'm pretty sure you could talk to a lot of people there as well. So sexual harassment in the field, LARPs in general. I can't talk about this because I've not experienced it. I don't. It's not my place, really. Here, so I will hand over the stream to you two.
In terms of official systems, there is a conduct. At Empire specifically, there is a conduct system. If you find someone in a black and yellow tabard and speak to them, you can also speak to the egregores of your nation. If someone's making you really uncomfortable, they have radios. So each nation will have an egregore, and I'm pretty sure if you said to them, "Look, I need to speak to someone about a thing," and say this has happened to me, they would be more than happy to help you out. And there is an official conduct process within PD. I think nowadays any LARP worth their salt really should have an E&D policy and some sort of conduct safeguarding policy to deal with these sort of things. And I think that's as much as I know from the official lines. I know that there are conduits for dealing with this in field.
Okay. Georgia, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, it's Dawn got it completely right there. So that there are, PD are on it. They are aware of this, and there are channels in place to make sure that these are dealt with swiftly and efficiently and as fairly as possible. Obviously, like the more extreme measures are things like muster voids and warnings and bans and things like that. Muster voids are a bit of a funny one because obviously they place restrictions on. So say for instance you said, no, this person keeps trying to hang out with me, they're making me uncomfortable and they're not leaving me alone. So if you went to PD and they were like, would you like a muster void? You say, yeah. It's a bit of a funny one because it's a double-edged sword in that, yes, it means that person can't contact you and can't be in a tent with you and things like that. And then also means that if, say, you walked into a tent, they were there, you then need to leave. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but it is good in if the contact is the thing that is the issue.
Yeah.
I would, with muster voids, as I understand how they previously worked, because I am aware that during the longest dark PD have been reviewing a lot of stuff, and they've had diversity readers in, they've had people in to sort of go over all of the paperwork, so there may be updates coming, so I don't want to misspeak on their behalf. The thing was that if you put in a muster void against someone, they will be told, so they know that it's happening. So one of the things is if you have a group tent, they're not allowed in your group tent, but you're equally not allowed in their group tent.
Yeah.
So that's something, but I also don't want to speak on their behalf because I'm not one of their I'm not one of their team members, but I also I know that they've been reviewing things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be some major updates coming soon.
Okay. Smo said, honestly, when I was first looking at Empire, everyone I knew who went was male, and one of them I was not a fan of because sexist. So seeing PD's conduct rules and page was really encouraging. And then said they really do want to make the game safe and enjoyable for everyone. So it says, okay, thank you. Definitely makes me more confident knowing that. I want to touch on safe spaces. Because this is something that I've been talking to a few people about recently. Because the community that I've built here is welcoming, it's wholesome. I want to say that it's a safe space, but I can't declare it a safe space. I can't say it's a safe space. I want it to be a safe space. The only way, in my eyes, because I read I read something and it said the only way for a space to be declared a safe space is if women, trans, people of color, any sexuality, anything like that come to you and say, I feel safe here. That's the only way to make it safe.
I think that seems like a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
It's a bit like how it's one thing to call yourself an ally, it's another thing to be seen and trusted as one. So while I try and make an effort to educate myself and read up and stuff, I also know that it's a little bit, I am the big I am. If you're constantly like, well, I'm this and I'm this ally and I'm that ally, because there's going to be parts of my knowledge that don't always measure up and I'm going to make mistakes. And it doesn't mean that I won't always make every effort to get better. So I think one of the things is with a safe space, unless it's very restricted to one group of people and it's one group of people running it for their purposes, then it is going to be that difficult. Like I know, I think Rosemary herself has said something like, she had a really good way of putting it that I've now totally forgotten. It's a tricky one because it depends what you mean by safe and safe for what and for whom. But so long as people feel comfortable and happy in that space and they feel like they're growing, that is a good sign. Because I wish I had a better or more constructive answer, because I feel like my wheels are spinning as if trying to explain it. But...
It's fine. It's fine. I mean...
Yeah, I think like striving, you should always strive to make online platforms or any form of platform and foster a culture of safety and openness and diversity. But I think I agree. You can say this is a safe space and we're doing everything we can to make it safe. It's down to people of different groups to say, actually, no, this is a safe space for people of color, people of different ethnicities, different people with disabilities, etc., etc. So always strive to make your spaces safe for all. There's always education you can have. There's always ways to adapt, always ways to grow and make it even better.
So chat have come through again.
Ooh. Go on, chat.
So,
I can see dinner behind as well. Is that dinner?
That's someone's dinner.
Oh,
It's quite a pile.
So Kappa said, safe spaces are difficult. Unless you personally know everyone involved and know them well, how can you guarantee that it's safe?
Yeah.
Are we ready for the real world comparison here from Helen? This is a good one.
I'm bracing.
This is a good one.
Okay.
So, a great example of this is the police saying that they will monitor pubs with plainclothes officers to provide safe spaces for women. Now, if everyone tells you that doesn't make them feel safe, then is it actually a success? So
you can claim it's safe. You can claim, this is about safeguarding. But if people are saying, actually, no, this doesn't make us feel safe, or we don't feel comfortable in this situation or this chat, then it becomes obsolete.
Yeah. This is the perfect example, especially because this came after a police officer committed a horrendous crime. So so from an LGBTQ plus perspective, if someone is openly saying, I want this to be a safe space, I already know that I will feel safer there, purely from the awareness of trying to be one, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, that does make sense.
So the Discord is a safe space for me and one of the few places I feel I can be me, but I am not everyone. And I don't know what that one means. YMMV?
Your mileage may vary.
Okie dokie then. Excellent. I didn't know that.
Some people... I've managed to knock over this liquid lipstick twice with my wire.
Oh no.
Winning.
It's not open, is it?
It's fine. Smells of gingerbread.
Oh, thank God. Where's it from?
two-faced. For the people
Making a
that...
note
no,
of
actually,
that.
no, because that might count as product placement. Sorry.
No, none
No,
of that.
that's fine. That's fine. They're not paying me. It's all right.
Fair
It's
enough.
totally fine. The important thing is the aim and the intent for it to be as safe as possible.
Yeah.
So, a white male police officer... Has a white male police officer ever made me feel safe? And I happen to be white, not loud about my gender and sexuality. I think that's a... that's the point. I think the intent was there, but no one's gonna like it. Because, there's... That's an completely different stream. That's... we could discuss the police.
Backing it up with education
Yes.
and reading up and stuff. And when you feel like you're not getting it, taking a step back and going, because there's times where even I'm sort of like, am I being a stick in the mud? Is this just something I don't get and don't experience? And I go over to, I suppose what I think my safe space is sometimes the friends I can go to and say, look, I need to ask you a question. And I know that it's a daft question or a bammy question. I'm struggling to think of the words because I don't want to say accidentally something else. Like, I don't. But being able to say, look, I'm going to ask you a question that I realise may make me look like a total fool. But I don't get this thing, or I'm not understanding this thing. Is it just, am I just too old? Is it just something totally out of my experience and I should not worry about it so much, or just go and read up about it? Is it anything to do with me? Is it even my business? And like having that friend, it's also good to have friends who... It's important to have friends you can talk about things with as well.
Yeah.
And having like a smaller safe space where you can say to someone, but also read up yourself if you're feeling like you're not getting something. Okay, well, what does this say?
Can't stress enough the importance of education. Like that's where the root of the problem is keeping people aware and updated. So like you can't stress it enough, whether that is self-education or whether you've got very kind friends who are happy to answer those questions for you, because you don't want to... I know I personally, I used to be very bad at just sort of like piling off on people. Whereas now I sort of, you take the time to be like, I have a question or I have a thing. Are you happy for me to ask this, or do you want me to just leave it or go do it myself? And it's absolutely fine to tell someone go do it yourself. You're a big girl. I'm more than happy for my friends to be like, you're a big girl, go do it yourself. I'm like, yep, cool, got it.
Google is also, as always, Google is free.
Yeah, Google is free.
And make sure you're not just dumping on your friend when you do it. I usually, if I think I'm being like a bit of a... I'm trying to think of the word I want to describe it, but it's just, I think sometimes I'm angry about another thing. I would say, I think I'm eating biscuits mad about this. But I don't understand this thing right now, the second, and they just sort of go, and it's possibly not the level of things we're talking about right now as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Because sometimes even people within the same groups have different experiences of things. And if those experiences aren't gelling, if you're not understanding that perspective, that can be a thing. So, like, as we said at the very start of this, George and I will have similar experiences in some things and different in others.
Yeah. So, what I'll do is I'll read out this bit from chat, and then I've got
go on, chat.
One more topic that I want to touch on.
I love that chat are being really active.
This has been brilliant. Currently 50 people watching at the moment, and they're all, and I think this discourse has been great. So, to be wanting to be a safe space and being open to people saying, hey, this is how space can improve, that's what leads to progress and better spaces. Hosting a space that you don't listen to who it's intended for just means you're posturing. I really hope I listen to people. I really, really do. Then Swiss says, I think that's an important point, that the space is open to change and listening to its members. Removing emotional labour from folk is not a bad thing, but being present to share concepts, I think that was meant to be, and explore ideas together is a great thing. LARP families are wonderful petri dishes for this. However, communication with adequate scaffolding is key.
Yes.
I love that word, scaffolding.
Scaffolding.
Yeah, I quite like that. An important thing too is not to be offended or upset if someone doesn't feel safe around you. It might not be personable, you might not understand, but respect it and remove yourself from it. You're just saying the words, but not being active in the pursuit of betterment is what causes more problems. That comment was meant to be attached to my previous one. It's okay, Carl. It's fine, mate. Just like I'm not talking much. People say I just want to absorb and learn. So this is good. And someone I can't spell. I've got fat fingers. I can't read this evening. I've been doing really badly. So, but yeah, that's chat. Chat have been amazing this evening.
Thank you, chat.
Yeah, they've been really, really good. It's been lovely hearing, and also like people keeping us updated on like terminology and stuff. That's been really good because you might know one version of some terminology, but chat have been really on it with keeping us up to date. Definitely.
Because missing stare was one that I'd never heard of before, but I've had a couple of people educate me on that one.
Ooh.
And it was as soon as it was explained to me, I was just like, oh yeah, I think I know two.
It's like, another good one is the house has bees.
The house has bees.
I don't know that
I've
one.
heard that one. What's that one?
It's basically another great resource for you guys is Captain Awkward, because Captain Awkward linked me into the geek social fallacies, which was great for dealing with an awful lot of nonsense that I had to deal with at tabletop and at LARP. But it's sort of shorthand. It's like the house is bees or the house is on fire, but it's sort of like missing stare, but for a group of people where there's a particular thing that keeps happening, and the group or the pair or whatever, they just keep ignoring it and acting like nothing's wrong. But you, the outsider, can see, no, the house is filled with killer bees and this doesn't work. I might be using that slightly iffy because it's a couple of years, but sometimes
it's like the
it's sort of like a group version.
Yeah. It's like that picture that, you know, the dog sat in the fire, like, this is fine, everything's fine, but everything's on fire around it. Actually, you know what, that's a good, another good way of looking at it.
I like that. So this is the last one. I think, to be honest, going through it all, I think we've covered pretty much everything just by having a dialogue, and this has been really nice. So, but this is another blog that I read, and it was written by a guy. And no, this is actually a positive. It's a positive. Well, I say it's a positive, but it's. Hear me out on this one. Okay. So, I'll read out what I've written. It says, "Less bastards to find an excuse to be a dick." Okay, that's what the note I've written for myself. So, the point is this. God, that sounded really shitty there. Sorry. The point of that note for me is people who come along to LARP, roleplay, and do things like that, who want to say, right, my character is racist, homophobic, misogynistic. It's all of these things. My character is like this because I want an excuse to go into that field, to be horrible, to be a dick to so many people but it's only my character. It's only roleplay. It's like no, mate.
No, you're using your roleplay as an excuse, as a cloak to hide behind. No.
We see you. I've called someone out for that before. Someone who was repeatedly way too familiar and way too friendly with me in field. I confronted them very loudly in front of them very loudly and say, "No, I'm not interested. Don't do that." And I'd spoken about it as well with Tom. So I'm lucky in that I have a very good support network with Tom, and saying to him as a sounding board, this thing happened. He's like, no, you're absolutely right, because I felt quite uncomfortable confronting someone very loudly and publicly. I understand that apparently I come off as like apparently sometimes, and there's a lot of times where I'm just inside. I'm like,
You wouldn't know because
you wouldn't know,
you
but inside.
hold yourself and conduct yourself so well.
But I'm like that, like a lot of the time at LARP. I'm like that in the inside. And then
Yeah,
they
just-
try to say, "Oh, it's just my character. I'm so sorry I offended you. It's just my character." And I said, "No, it's not. You made the choice to flirt with me, and then when I turned you down and I rebuffed you, you kept trying that line with me."
Mm.
And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. It's just my character." At that point, I just said to Tom, "I'm not doing emotional labor for this man anymore.
Yeah.
Would you mind?" And he said, "Not at all." And he just wrote, "This is Dawn's husband. You've been told. You know. You know that you did this and you did this. You're using this as an excuse, and you know this goes against the policies of the LARP."
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think at that point, the person in question shat themselves out their soul. But
Oh, they did.
mhm,
I think if I'm thinking of the same person,
mhm.
potentially.
I
But
don't
yes.
know, but I just said no. And this is the other thing I would say to people is, if someone's giving you a hard time, if someone's making you uncomfortable, it's okay to say and never sit and suffer in silence, and always speak to your sounding board.
Mm.
And if
Mm.
it gets to a certain point,
Yep.
definitely go to the conduct team, because
Yeah.
you deserve. I don't stand for this all. Oh, but you don't want to ruin someone's life or someone's game just because they made a mistake. I'm also at a point where I have a very, your mileage may vary, but I have a very hard line with this. And if you want to test me, you will find out. Don't treat people poorly. And if someone's treating you poorly, you don't deserve that. You paid the same money for your ticket to get into that field, and you're a
Yeah.
person just as much as they are, and you deserve to be treated well. You ladies, you non-binary folk,
Yeah.
you transport, anyone at home, you deserve to have a nice time in that field, to have fun,
Yeah.
and feel your oats, metaphorically speaking, to have fun in that field. So don't feel bad or feel shy saying, "Well, this made me quite uncomfortable, quite sad," and call them out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if
And even if
like,
you don't feel like you can do the calling out, there will be people there
mhm,
who will do the calling out if you want them to. Yeah, I know a lot of people may not feel comfortable enough or confident enough, or might even feel a little bit frightened
mhm.
calling out that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
But trust us when we say there are so many people in that field who will
Mhm.
go out of their way to make sure that you are happy. You're on holiday, you're
Yeah.
paying however much you paid for a ticket to go on holiday and dress
Mhm.
up and have fun for the weekend.
Yeah.
Nobody has the right to make you not enjoy your holiday that you
No.
have
Mhm.
very rightly deserved.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
deserve
Sorry, I'm
to
trying
be
to cross my leg
happy.
and I just kicked my laptop. There we go.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
deserve to be happy. You live in a world that has a system, and it's a system that likes to smash us in the face. But you deserve nice things. You deserve to be happy, and I'm telling you that now, and you have been told. You
Gotta
have been
listen.
told.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this has brought up an interesting topic in chat.
Ooh.
Of someone of women when they walk home in the dark.
Mm.
So this is this is actually a conversation I've had with Helen,
Hmm.
because I used to. It's interesting seeing the conversation, how it's taking. So some people are saying that they'd rather have the guy walk past than slow down and walk behind them. Some people are saying no, I'd rather they slowed right down and just let me walk away, cross the road, and things like that. They want to be ignored and things like that. So
It's sad.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's a thing and it exists. And
Yeah, it's awful.
I feel like as a species, humankind, I say,
okay.
we're shit. We've failed.
Okay, Xeno Queen.
I think
We're
I-
shit, but we're trying.
We're trying. We are trying.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my daughter at them. I can not at the moment. Obviously, she's not here in the room with me, but she's 12, and seeing things on the news before she goes. So we put Sky News on, and we'll sit down and we'll watch it. And she's having breakfast and stuff like that. She's generally on her tablet and something like that. But some things will come on, and with what happened in London, with the lady being essentially abducted and then taken away, she literally turned to me and said, are women treated like that?"
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning now.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, women are.
Yeah.
And
It is heartbreaking that is a conversation you have to have.
Yeah. You can still see it, and as a dad, it's heartbreaking that my daughter is going to grow up in a world where she has to be wary of walking along the streets at night, or wary of the guy in the pub, wary of everyone, of all of these guys around there, and it is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
It really, really is.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I've had full custody of my daughter now for a couple of years, and she has been such a light in my world. She's a demon, don't get me wrong, she's an absolute demon. But the innocence and the questions that she asks is fantastic to hear. And it's heartbreaking knowing that I physically cannot do more. I can't follow her at night. I can't follow her everywhere. I can't be with her 24/7. I can't do those sorts of things. So I'm hoping that anything that comes out of it, if we've helped one guy, two guys out there who are just going to go, I'm that guy, I need to change what I'm saying, thinking, doing, then it's been a success, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's even things as simple as reading body language. I found that sometimes guys completely innocently, they get enthusiastic. We all do. We all get enthusiastic and really excited over things and chatting to people. And some guys are not very good at reading body language and noticing when the person they're talking to is backing up, making himself look smaller, maybe trying to turn away from them. And even just a little thing is noticing that, if the person you're talking to doesn't look comfortable and is back, trying to sort of end the conversation through their body language, then just sort of, take the hint. Just take the hint and just be like, you know what, actually, I'm going to back off a little bit.
And real talk, patriarchy has not been kind to men.
No.
Patriarchy has taught you some awful things that said, these are the truths. No, patriarchy lied to you, honey.
Yeah.
Honey, no.
Brainwashed you.
Don't have to be a particular way. You don't have to do certain things and perform certain things to deserve kindness yourselves.
No.
Yeah.
And I think a little thing that sometimes helps, especially if we're talking about a LARP specific context, is read more stuff written by people of different genders. Even at a micro level, read fantasy, sci-fi, just the stuff that's written by them, and let go of the center a little bit. A thing I started to do, and it wasn't until I was about 3 occasions I did this, I realized what I was doing. I used to before Auntie Rona came to kick her butts, I every so often would do what I called the big Friday night in, and I'd have some mates round and we'd watch a film. And it'd usually be a night where Tom wasn't able to run his tabletop game. He was away or doing something. So I'd have some mates round and we'd put on a film. And sometimes we'd have some guy friends round as well. And it was, I think it was about a few films in, I started to realize I was showing them films that were about women with the central characters. I kept sort of every so often it would always be at least a couple in the rotation of the choices. So, and I'm not the titles I'm going to name aren't earth-shattering in any way. But it was weird, the little conversations we ended up happening, or things just from a different perspective. Like I've talked about this in this Discord chat and a couple of other chats, but I remember one we were watching was Magic Mike XXL.
Lovely.
So chat is going to end up crying with laughter. But the weird thing was there were two guys who kept saying, "Yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting." Oh, it's yes, they have filmed it from a particular perspective, but they learned stuff. And then someone said, "You do realize," because at one point it's all the guys sat posing and they're planning their dance sequence, with one lady in the middle with a clipboard going through everything, maybe another one. And then someone just said, "You do realize this is what it's like though, watching a Marvel film, and like how women are treated." And then they sort of went, oh, "Is this what we've been doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, even on a micro level, nice things you can do, because I don't want it to be. I realize sometimes I'm quite hardline about things and how I talk about things. So in a nice and a positive way, get involved and read things that aren't written by men and watch them. And if you're not getting it, ask about it. And a fun one that, yeah, like I've showed them things like Miss Congeniality, Legally Blonde.
A fantastic film.
Which guys are sort of always a little bit sort of like, it's a bit. I think I know how it's going to end. And I'm like, yes, but I know how Interstellar's going to end, so you're watching it. So try different things and chat to people who aren't men about different things. Ask us about our perspectives. We're people. We like chatting. I don't know if you've noticed, but we we do like
we
an
love
actor.
a chat.
One
thing that I wanted to point out, it was a conversation I was having with actually some of my Empire lady friends, actually. A really wonderful thing that was pointed out about men in LARP. It was a beautiful thing, and it actually made us all go, oh my god, yes. Men tend to be taught not to take pride in their appearance. You know, it doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what you wear, doesn't matter how you smell, you're fine. When they go to LARP, it is wonderful seeing men like get excited over costume and how they're going to do their hair and their beards, and you know, the makeup they're going to put on for their lineage, or if they're Navari, what their markings are going to be. That is an example of a really positive masculinity. Guys getting excited and supportive over their LARP character's costume and feeling good about themselves, like feeling strong or feeling like powerful in their costume, just the way that ladies and everyone, in fact, not just ladies, everyone who attends LARP, everyone takes pride in their kit and how it makes them feel. And that was a lovely conversation that we just sort of came up and be like, you know, it originally started as like guys will spend like 300 quid on a piece of armor, and then we'll go, oh, 20 quid for a t-shirt, it's a bit steep. But then it sort of expanded onto this lovely topic of how nice it is to watch our male friends feel good about themselves and feel powerful or feel like sexy in their LARP kit. And it's a really nice thing. It's a really positive thing to see. That it's not just fashion and feeling nice in your clothing and your kit isn't just something reserved for femme folk or anything like that. It is lovely to see guys doing it as well.
We shop for costume jewelry together.
Yeah.
Now that Tom's moved into a different name. Well, he started to get into it a little bit with his previous character, but the current character, it's like, oh, look at that brooch, that's amazing, and have fun with. There's nothing wrong with having fun. Like you came in, Steve, when we were having the makeup chat. I was like, what's going on here? We were just all painting our faces and talking about this is skincare, and this is what you do. I won't steer you wrong. This is how you tightline your eyes. Because I know there's people want to do eyeliner, especially for going into the Brass Coast and Dawn, and they're like, oh, I really want to do it. I don't know. And I said, oh, you. I think when I explain tightlining, people are a little bit like, for the uninitiated at home, I have a brush. So pretend this is doing the inside of one's eye. So this.
Oh, the waterline, yeah.
waterline, doing the waterline, tight lining is what we call that. And
Ooh,
we were
I didn't know
showing
it
this
was
to people who
called
don't normally get to see this.
that. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
as
really
you can
cool.
tell, we love a natter.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right, chat has been going back to it again. So as we've been going for quite a while, so we'll do this and we'll finish on
I'd like to see your
some
bottom.
highs. So,
She's like, mother, please.
to quote a famous philosopher,
Oh.
fuck's sake,
Who's this?
philosopher. You all look so sexy tonight. You make me want to dismantle the patriarchy.
Oh, Bimini Bomb Boulash. Yeah, I look so sexy tonight. I want to dismantle the patriarchy. Sorry, Bimini. If you're watching, sorry, love.
Oh dear. Helen says, I think Dawn is very right though. There's a lot of culture forcing men to be these brash, in-your-face people that have to go out there and be aggressive about what they want, when really you don't have to. You don't have to stop some poor woman in the street to get her number because you want it, and you don't have to have bro-offs with your mates over women and in general everyday life. I have some sympathy, in that for some people these behaviours are just so heavenly, oh, fuck's sake, heavily reinforced that they can't see them as intimidating. As Smo said, women owe you nothing. We are just trying to exist. Exactly, Smo. George's favourite film is Legally Blonde.
Thank you, George.
Miss Congeniality, Legally Blonde, Miss Congeniality 2. Oh my word. Space Jam. Yeah, excellent. That's a great film.
Space Jam is an excellent film.
I can't wait for the sequel.
It's so like it's good, but it's also not good. But it's so good.
So I think I'm done with. There's so much there. So definitely watch the VOD because you'll see chat coming up as it's all going on. Talking about films, there are great films out there because I love films. I love all film. I will watch most films. There was films that are written by women for women are films that have great female leads in them. Films that are written by men for women are awful because men can't write women's roles. My example of that is Kevin Feige or Feige, however you want to put him, because he ruined Ghostbusters. That was a terrible film. There are amazingly talented women in that film.
I think you're about to hit some.
And they got done dirty.
I think I'm going to be the There were issues with Ghostbusters. There's ways I think it could have been better. But it was written by, it wasn't Kevin Feige. It was But you're thinking of Paul Feig.
Paul Feig.
And Kevin Feige. Paul Feig is married to Melissa McCarthy and they worked on that together as a team. So it was SNL people. And it was, this is the thing. The first one, the first original one was an SNL thing. So it was an SNL thing of its time. And the other thing I feel like people don't really take into account was it came off the success of Blues Brothers and the expectation that the character of Venkman was going to be played by the person whose name I've embarrassingly forgotten, Belushi. He was going to be played by
James Belushi.
John Belushi, who unfortunately passed away during that time. The role was taken over and played in a really particular way. Someone actually explained something to me about the original Ghostbusters that made me go, oh, about the character of Venkman, and really, it doesn't. I can't watch it and now just be like, oh, this is so funny. Whenever that bit comes up, I'm like, but it had its issues, but I didn't hate it. There were things about it that gave me a bit of joy, but there was things about it where I was like, that could have been a bit stronger. I mean, perfect use of Ozzy Osbourne. Shut in.
I can't finish it.
Shut in.
I think that. Sorry, go on.
It's one of those ones where there were people working in that, but it wasn't. the other thing is when people take over another thing and they rewrite it. So like people have talked about, oh, there's going to be another update of Ghostbusters, but it's being done by Jason Reitman,
Yep.
and they're super excited about it. But people who are expecting just because Jason Reitman is the son of Ivan Reitman, therefore they will get the Ghostbusters they deserved in 2016. No, because I've
No.
seen Jason Reitman's other films. They're super introspective. They're kind of meditative in a way. And looking at the references, it feels a lot darker than either film in terms of tone.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff happening there. But then I also appreciate that sometimes if a film makes me laugh and gives me a bit of joy, then I'm not as harsh as some people, because like the films I don't like, E.T. and The Road are up there. Because the way The Road treated women, but that's my opinion.
E.T. is also really freaky as well.
Oh no, I didn't trust him. I was 3 and I cried
I
hysterically.
used to get nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nightmares over E.T. Sorry. I know people are like, oh, but he's so cute. I'm like, no.
No. He's
Gra-
out to get you and sell you BT packages.
Yeah, Gremlins for me.
Yeah.
Gremlins for me.
Oh, yeah.
Fenrir's just, despite the actress, Cara Dune in Mando was cracking, and Ahsoka in Mando 2.
Yeah.
But like, Elle Woods is a cracking character.
Yeah. She is unapologetically feminine, and it doesn't hinder her in any way.
And Miss Congeniality, Gracie Hart, otherwise known as Gracie Lou Freebush, when she's incognito, is also a great character because she spends that film dismantling internalized misogyny. Like, and sometimes I look at the character I play at Empire and I say, I can see a little bit of Grace in there. See a bit of Grace Hart every so often in certain situations.
Yeah. Tank Girl has been brought up as well.
Ooh.
Tank Girl.
See, I love Kalena from Sir Dothian from the Throne of Glass. I love Throne of Glass. I discovered it as an adult. I was like, I wish I had this book as a child. I would have drank this up, and I've read all that writer's other stuff. I love it. I love it.
E.T. is a horror movie, apparently.
True fact.
Yes. You know what?
I can't see it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I loved E.T. I loved it. It was Gremlins for me. That was the one that scared me as a kid, but still. Hour and 44 we've been going. We've done really well. This is I am not going to tell a lie. We definitely could. We probably will. I'm not going to lie. I was really nervous about this. Because I was just was nervous because this is something that needs to be said, and a lot of people don't like being told what they need to hear. Essentially. So this has been brilliant. I've really enjoyed all of this. This has been so much fun, and I hope a lot of people have learned some things, and I hope people have taken a lot of stuff on board. And will listen and learn. I think that's the big thing here. Ask questions if you don't understand or if you don't know. Ask questions. That's the big thing. That's probably my only advice that I can offer is if you don't know, ask. That's what I've been doing, and it's been.
And listen.
Yeah.
Take it on.
Listen to what's being said, and not to what your feeling is telling you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll get told, and it is difficult to hear when you get told that wasn't okay, but just accept it. Deal with it, and if you need,
it's not a personal attack. Someone saying, "Look, would you mind not doing this because it's just making me feel uncomfortable?" It's not an attack on you. It's just somebody making their feelings known. Just as I'm sure you, if you were feeling uncomfortable or upset, would let your feelings be known.
Yeah.
In the words of another wise philosopher, it's not shade, it's just drag.
Not shade, it's just drag.
No tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. It's just drag.
So
just making the place better.
Someone's just commented, This was the most important stream you have done, Steve, and it's probably been the best. Really great stream. I just want to make people feel as comfortable as I can. Listening to this is helpful. Great stream. Thank you. Thank you. Some good resources to check out as well. Thank you, everyone, for staying calm and collected. Thank you for such a lovely stream, you three. Well done, chat, for not exploding in hot arguments. You're all good eggs. Great stream. Thank you. Very serious subjects. Thanks for the information. Thank you for doing an important stream and topic. Thank you all. No one expects you to be a mind reader. Just be willing to modify what you do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just burping as well there. Sorry. If you feel someone telling you they are uncomfortable is attack, maybe have a look at resources to unpack your ego.
Yeah.
If anybody has links or anything like that, can you send them to me on the Discord if you can? Just DM me. I appear offline all the time. Just don't worry. Just send it to me because I want to put all of these things on the YouTube video when it goes up. Okay? So thank you, chat. You've been amazing. Dawn, Georgia, thank you so much for doing this. Dawn, thank you for coming on with like half hour's notice.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime.
As well. That was brilliant. This has been fantastic. So yeah, you two have been absolute legends. I cannot thank you enough. I'm not going to raid anyone tonight because I just don't want to. I think this has been enough for me.
It's been a night.
This has been brilliant, and it's been absolutely fantastic to hear everybody. And
thank you so much for having us on as well, and
not a problem.
giving us a platform to speak from, and providing resources for all the people listening as well.
But yeah,
it's a really good thing you're doing.
Sorry.
We'll do more.
Sorry to talk over.
We'll do
also,
more.
Yeah, modeling.
You can tell it's getting towards the end now.
Yeah.
10-minute goodbye.
Yeah, we'll do more. We'll do a lot more of this sort of stuff because it needs to be done. So yeah, we'll do another one of these because it's informative, it's educational. So, and I tend to stay away from education. So, I mean, look at me. But it's been amazing.
It's okay to not know and to want to ask questions and want to learn and get better.
Yeah, definitely.
It's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how we say all the time when it's like, oh, I'm worried I won't know everything about Empire. It's like, it's okay if you doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
No one knows everything.
No.
Everything, and you need someone to tell you, hey, this is what this is.
Yeah, definitely. So, what am I doing next? Monday, Orc Kit with Dave. There we go. A completely different tone.
Orc Kit.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of kit being shown off by Dave there. So that's going to be a good one on Monday as well. So thank you everybody again. Everyone have a great evening. Enjoy yourselves. Look after yourselves.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, remember, reach out. We're all in this together. Take care. Much love. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.